All right. Hello, my friends. Welcome back for episode 2. We are on episode 2 of the Mid Week Hump, and we're here to talk about all the ridiculous shit that happens throughout the week and kind of get you caught up. If you haven't quite been paying attention to the news or the goings on across the interwebs, we are here to help you with that. I'm absolutely joined by two great, wonderful people, my friends. Horror Emirata, how are you tonight?
I'm here. I'm okay. I'm all right. I swear.
I hear that it's hump day. I mean,
it is.
We have an excuse too, right? And the damaged hero himself, Mr. Sheepsedian, how are you, sir?
It's Wednesday, my dudes.
It is. I wish Wednesdays were a little easier. Like, it's nice because you're at the peak of the week, right? We're at the apex, and then it's just down from there.
Yeah, it's the hump.
Right. It's great. It's a good place to be, but you just hope that for some reason there's not another little thing part of your daily routine. That's what I'm hoping for, because I have a busy week ahead, but we'll see.
For me, it always depends on how hard it was to get up to the top, because sometimes you can stare down at the bottom and think, can I really survive getting all the way back down there?
That's true. You don't want a free fall. You just want kind of a nice rolling go.
Yeah.
Right now I'm on a hill that is it's a little steep. You know that feeling when you were first a kid and you were going down a hill, and you got that feeling in your stomach where it was oh God, I think I made a mistake. I'm right there on my week, but I'm hoping that it sort of levels off. Time will tell.
Yeah, sounds like when I learned to ride a bike.
Yep. And I suppose this week of news and such has been kind of weird. It really started off with a bang.
For sure.
I wouldn't call it a bang. That was more of a smack.
A bang. Well, if you were in the actual ceremony with everybody, it was a bang. Around the world, it sounded like a slap.
Yeah, but so obviously we're talking, for those who don't know, we're talking about Will Smith slapping Chris Rock right in the middle of the Oscars. Finally bringing some attention to an already dead show.
Right.
So it was, I didn't believe it when I saw it on Twitter, because I was having a rough day and I was sitting there and I was trolling through Twitter and saw it and I was like, wait, is this real? This can't be. And sure enough, Will Smith walked up on stage after Chris Rock made a tasteless joke involving his wife, Jada Pinkett Smith. And so Will walked up on stage and gave him the business, all 5 fingers worth and a palm.
What did a 5 fingers say to the Oscars?
God, what?
I was asking y'all.
I thought for sure you had a follow up on that.
Yeah,
one, so.
The punchline. We were waiting for it.
No, that's it. That's it. That's just a hanging joke. That's for y'all to interpret. It's a new comedy.
Where is there? It is. There's my tab. And of course, the internet can't go one day without making something like
Racist.
this about race, right?
Yep.
So, The Guardian reports that white outrage about Will Smith's slap is rooted in anti-blackness. It's inequality in plain sight. I see. Is this do they get paid to make up works of fiction now? Is that what the news is?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, it's been that way ever since the Babylon Bee started becoming true.
Right?
It was before that, unfortunately. Babylon Bee just made it more obvious.
Rush Limbaugh started it. Then Alex Jones kind of continued it. Then the Babylon Bee started satire. And then they said, you know what? Why not?
I'm sure The Onion was first.
Yeah, well, The Onion was first.
Yeah, now The Onion's liberal trash. It's just they try and write headlines like The Bee, but they suck. The left can't meme.
Nope.
And that's what and now that, because there's the Babylon Bee account, and then there's Not the Bee.
Not the Bee.
Which is real headlines. But you can't tell the difference anymore. I'll see headlines in Not the Bee and I'll think, wait, is this the right account? Did they post to the wrong account?
No, you always have to double check that shit.
So yeah, when I saw this headline, I saw someone post this article like a screenshot of the article, and I was like, I have to go make sure this is real. And sure enough, because there's plenty of stuff out there on the internet that's that people make up, right? They'll take like a picture, an old picture article, and then they'll just put like their own headline in there and make it up. That happens a lot. But as we see here, it is not fake. It looks like Teo Barrow is reporting this. So I guess the issue is that there's a lot of white people speaking up about Will Smith's slap, and we're either disagreeing or agreeing with it, and somehow that is being anti-black. Not sure how it figures in, but I would like to ask you guys, what was your take on everything that happened at the Oscars?
Oh gosh. Hold on a second.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Anyway, so for me, you have that moment where you see the slap and you're you just don't know, did they stage that or not? And initially I figured it was for sure some kind of bit, because I'm not watching the Oscars. I have no plan to watch the Oscars.
Right.
And so I figure for sure, and then I get up on my stream and everybody's talking about it, and half of them are, oh, it's fake, and the other half are, no, it's real, and take a look at it and listen to some more takes and really think about it. And it's like, the more I look at it and the more I think about it, I'm pretty sure that was an honest slap. You have to actually go and watch the clip from Australia or Japan before you really get the full, where he's shouting out from the crowd about, Rock keeping his wife's name out of his mouth, and The Rock's response, and the fact that he was just able to roll through it was highly impressive to me.
Right.
That right there is just the sign of a top-notch comedian.
Yeah, that honestly, man, I'm surprised that he did as well as he did. That was probably the most impressive part. But I agree. Like the whole. Actually, before I give my thing, Sheep, what was your first thoughts on it?
Keep my wife's name out your. Oh well, it's YouTube. I gotta give it some time. I don't know if. Matter of fact, do you even care about that? If I were to like swear or whatever at this point, because it's not a 2-hour mark yet.
No.
Okay, because I don't, and I was just making sure that you were okay with
on the
that.
same page.
Cool, because I was about to say, keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth.
Yeah.
And then he said it again. Like I saw the clip, and I sat there for half a second. I was like, oh, that looked real staged. And then then he sat down, and then it got real awkward, and I was like, oh, that must have been real.
Mm-hmm. Well,
but yeah, no. Ultimately, it was. I'm laughing because like Chris made the joke, Will laughed, Jada sat there with resting bitch face, and then Will get up and slap, and I'm just sitting here like, she told him to slap him.
Well, she didn't verbally do it, but yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. I don't know if I've seen an angle that shows them looking at each other, like, because you clearly see him like smile, at least like sort of like chuckle at his joke.
He definitely started laughing.
Right. And then you clearly see her from that angle, like I don't like that. Her face got all, like you said, resting bitch face. And then all of a sudden he walks up on stage. So like that's why I thought it was planned, and it was like kind of poorly executed, because sometimes those things they seem kind of like clunky. Like I can't think of like a past one, but I know I've seen like those like weird stage things before where they don't seem totally genuine. And even the way he slapped him seemed kind of like he definitely connected, but he had this weird kind of like stiff arm thing.
Yeah, that's what I was telling Amarada when I saw it, and I was just like, yeah, that his stance just seems like it was like he was like holding back pretty much how he
didn't really want to slap him, it seemed like. But right. I mean, I truly believe that the whole thing, the only reason he got up and slapped him was because he got that look from her that said, you damn well better do something. And while we didn't see it, you could kind of see the beginning of it on the look on her face as he was laughing.
Yep.
And the only reason is because he knew that there would be hell to pay when he got home if he didn't.
Oh
Yeah,
no, he was gonna go sleep. He was gonna have to go sleep in the 14th guest house. That'd have been bad.
Well, it just shows you too how broken that whole thing must be. Because Amarada, you and I had an exchange on Twitter as well, talking about his own like mental health. He was like, the whole drama in his relationship was exposed on national television. His wife dropping those bombs on him right there, and the original meme of him was. That was from her talking about her infidelity.
Yeah, that I went on my show on Monday. I went on a whole tear about that. I'm probably going to end up uploading that since it's still the talk of the town. Just drop my whole. I don't know. I don't even know if I want to fucking edit it. I'm just like, you know what? Here's the video. The audio, and here's like a couple points where my avatar pops up in the shit, and I'm just leave it at that.
Right.
Because that it lit a fire under my belly the way that everything unfolded. But we can I don't want to be the guy to open that part of the conversation up. I'm gonna let y'all do it. You might have said something like, or rather, you guys have already had this conversation, so you can probably review what you guys were talking about, because I think that's where you were going.
I've basically been on the same spot from the beginning after I realized that it was real. And for me, it's watching that we're seeing the end of possibly decades of emotional and mental abuse at the hands of a woman that people are ignoring.
Yep. Yeah. It's dangerous. It shows you the danger of ignoring the red flags in relationships. And I understand what it takes a lot to push through and try and work through issues in a marriage. And Will's an A+ list star. He has been for most of his career. And to go through something like that, where, his marriage is falling apart, on national television, how does he cope? And he obviously they didn't do anything to remedy that. At least he didn't in his own mind, because, if he is looking over at his wife and he's getting signals like, oh shit, you better handle this now. I don't like it. Now he's put in a spot where he has to get up, because the guy, to commit to walking on stage in front of all of your peers in Hollywood on national television, on the world stage, really, people around the world are watching this, and hit a comedian in the face, and
for telling a joke.
For telling a joke, man.
And of all things, a comedian who has historically been protected from that kind of thing based on the fact that was their job. The jester's job has always been to speak truth in a way that makes people laugh, even if the people in power don't like it. And they were always protected from the punishment of what they were speaking.
Right.
Protected, sort of, but you know what I mean. So yeah, the whole thing behind that. And then, just the way people, for me, the biggest thing that's probably bothered me with the situation is seeing how many men out there have looked at it and said, oh, well, Will deserves this because he didn't leave her. And for me, it's like, this is about the only thing I can say really qualifies as toxic masculinity, is the fact that instead of understanding that emotional and mental abuse is a huge issue that takes so much strength, time, power, admittance, all sorts of shit that has to go right for someone to get out of it. And it's twice as hard for men because of everything. That's the part that's bothered me the most, and has honestly been on my mind the most because of it.
Yeah, it's and I wouldn't call it toxic masculinity. I would call it what I just had it in my head, unchecked, I guess it would be for lack of a better term, emotionally damaged masculinity. Like a
Yeah.
man who's just who has been pushed. Because he was doing what he thought was right, and it wasn't right. Like that was probably the exact wrong thing to do at that moment.
Absolutely.
But it's because he didn't deal with his shit. But the thing is like you have to. Again, this is such a highly nuanced thing that like, while I agree with people's thing, like he didn't deal with this stuff in the past, and he was defending his wife and stuff. Like yes, but like he should have been handling this, and he should have been better equipped mentally. But it's also, it's weird too, because we put actors on this big pedestal, like there are these like demigods, and like they're not. They're just normal people who happen to be really good at a thing, And
put simply, yeah. And my take on this whole thing, Amrad has been hearing me espouse about it for a little bit, but people can say that I have like a beef with everyone who covers this, like like with the Quartering, or like with Ryan Kennel, or like with Jeremy over at Geeks and Gamers or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a beef with them, but ultimately I feel like they're looking at this from the entirely wrong perspective and saying that your job is to entertain us, this, that, and the other. Will is wrong for doing what he did, this, that, and the other, so on and so forth. And I'm sitting here like, you guys aren't looking at this from the perspective of helping the man out.
Right.
It's not about who's right or who. It's not about if Will was right or if Chris Rock was right or anything like that. It's about why did he go up there and do that?
Right.
If you look at the clip, the man's laughing. Jade is not. He gets up, slaps him, sits back down, and all of a sudden he's serious. Do you not think that there's something going on behind the scenes in that whole situation?
Mm-hmm.
He's more than serious. He was on the edge of tears. For a man who just slapped another man, he looked like he was about to cry.
Right.
Pretty much. And the thing that bothered me the most is everybody's like, oh, well, take his Oscar. No, the fuck that. That piece of metal doesn't fucking matter at this point.
Right.
Like, none of that matters at all. This man is clear. This man went through, like, he flip-flopped harder than Starscream and The Rock in the coin flipping contest. Like, with as far as his emotions went, like he was happy one moment, then he was not, like some level of bipolar shit going on. And everybody's just saying, oh, well, Will's wrong, Will's this, Will's that. So he's in a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. He's screwed either way that you look at it. And people are just sitting here like, well, I mean, this is what you put yourself in. No, well, yes and no. Because nobody can predict the future in a sense. Like nobody knew 20 years ago, 30 years ago that this man was going to be in a situation where he'd be slapping one of probably his best friends because his wife shot him a look. Like nobody knew this shit was going to fucking happen. So when you look at this and you look at these celebrities and actors and stuff, aside from them espousing politics, when they do something to this degree, that's when you have to stop and go, well, they're just as human.
Right.
Like I wouldn't want somebody pushing their narrative, like their politics or agenda or anything like that on me.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if there's somebody who's like, who looks like they're in that situation, like this man got his entire life literally turned upside down, especially like at the red table. Mm-hmm. Like when his wife decided that she was going to air out dirty laundry. Hey, I had an affair with our son's friend, and call he's nothing compared to this kid who pretty much has nothing to his name.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting here like the man's whole career, well, pretty much everything the family has is built off of this man's career. He is the one in the blockbuster movies. He's the one with the semi-successful rap career. He's the one who's out here producing and directing video movies and stuff like that.
Yep.
Like people go to Will, they don't go to Jada. But Jada is reaping all the benefits and basically telling this man what he should and should not do with his life. Like, and nobody's sitting here going, "Oh, well, nah, Will definitely needs help." Nobody, well, the people down at the bottom, pretty much,
yeah,
or the people with the quieter megaphones are the ones that are saying, "Hey, he needs help," and everybody else is just. They're just doing click videos, and that's what bothers me when I look at like another Ryan Kennel video talking about Will getting his laundry aired out. Same thing when you look at like Drexel or Nick Recator or something like that. Like I have nothing against these people, but they're looking at it from the completely wrong perspective.
Right.
It's not about him being a cuck at all. It's about him being broken.
Yeah. I mean, I can certainly I get that point of view. Like, I mean, it definitely generates the clicks, like you said, calling Will Smith a cuck, and I was guilty of it too. But it was in just I'm like, it's funny because you have the Jack Murphy memes and Will Smith memes coming out from this whole thing, and whatever, it's funny. But the deeper conversation that people are not having and not writing about, instead they're writing drivel like this about it being about racism. It's like, no, how about we talk about how broken this man is behind the scenes, and how we need to come to terms that, I mean, even men in general need to find a way to get this stuff out and feel comfortable doing it, because I'm sure a lot of it is ego, but he's certainly but that's the thing. And we had Silvar said in the chat, like, Will settled, like, it's a common thing, and a lot of it deals with family and keeping family like together. And it's, but I agree with you 100%, Sheep. Like, the conversation needs to set around like about a Will and what led to this moment, and how to avoid it, or how he could have avoided it. Because I mean, and again, it kind of goes back to what I was saying, like why I thought it was fake was because I just can't believe he thought in that moment that was the proper thing to do. It made way more sense that these guys were like, oh, we're gonna rile up the crowd, just come up on stage, I'm gonna make a joke about G.I. Jane and your wife, and because even the joke was dumb, like G.I. Jane, like that's a movie from 1997.
Yeah,
the only people that would understand that are people that are like probably my age and older.
If I recall, I actually had to explain it to you, Sheep.
What, G.I. Jane?
Yeah.
No, I know who G.I. Jane is.
I remember having to tell someone it was a movie where the woman shaved her head.
Yeah, no, that wasn't me. I already know about that
Even my
movie and
mother.
how she got screwed over in that movie, but still ended up being the hero, helping out her superiors. I was like, all right, that's a pretty good movie.
Yeah, so like all that stuff culminated in this, like, this has to be a joke, right? Like, this isn't real. The fake looking slap, the really bad joke. I mean, just the bad joke from an A-list comedian like Chris Rock. Like, I just thought, like, I thought it would have just fallen flat. Like, it didn't seem like a reason to go up on stage to do anything. But
it seemed like a little throwaway roast joke that
right, exactly.
It was a little, maybe made a little chuckle, and then you move on and go on to something else.
Mm-hmm.
It was like it was the joke was as tasteless. It was just tasteless. It was as tasteless as water, I guess you can say. It's like it was nothing worth throwing out career out the window over. Unless what if that was Will's like ultimatum? Like, he's just like, you know what? That's it. I'm not going to suicide unless it's my career, and just goes up, does that shit, has his full quote unquote breakdown. And once like all the funding stops and he's like, I finally get to live the life I want to live, where I'm not in the spotlight. Of course, he's now branded a cuck, but still.
I read a really weird Twitter thread that implied that the entire reason he got up and slapped Chris Rock had to do with Scientology.
Oh my God. What?
Yeah, something actually teaches this class, or has these classes in which not necessarily physical violence, but intimidation and violence are supposed to be used to maintain your order in the hierarchy, or some weird shit. I mean, it was really freaking weird.
Wow.
And I'm sitting there reading, and it's like, it's Scientology, so that this could be true. But on the other hand, it sounds just weird, because I mean, it goes into how Tom Cruise uses not physical violence, but gets very physically intimidating and loud to cower non Scientology people to ensure his place in the whole thing.
What the hell is scared of Tom Cruise? The man is like 2 foot nothing. All he has is money. That's the best he's gonna do. He's just gonna run. You're gonna run at like top speed and get to the end of the room in my 3-step stride. Like, come on now.
But and how that possibly was Will not standing up with Jada, but standing up to show Scientology, the other Scientologists, that he wasn't going to take that disrespect. And Silver's saying that he said Will didn't know Will had joined that cult. I didn't know that either, but supposedly, again, the Smith family has actually funded a college for Scientologists.
Oh
Again,
my
I
God.
obviously didn't go off and do the research on this stuff. It was just a weird Twitter thing I read. But at the same time, it's Hollywood and Scientology and actors, and you just can't be sure. I mean, it's like trying to read the Babylon Bee only.
I just don't get it. I don't get the draw to Scientology. And Will Smith, really? Will Smith?
I think he was bored.
He must be.
Like, the man was in Independence Day, Men in Black, obviously Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, one of the best, if not the best sitcom to step out of the 90s. He was in Hitch. He was in After Earth, Pursuit of Happiness, a whole list of whatever that new movie was, King of Whatever's. But
King
like
Richard.
that, all of that. And he's in a whole bunch of blockbuster movies. He's just like, you know what? Oh, and 7 Pounds, which is a fantastic movie. It's like, you know what? I feel like, I'm gonna just take this money and just do something with it. Here, y'all have it, whatever.
Well, I mean, the thing is Jada could have been in it before they got married, and if she was, he could have had to have joined for them to get married. I recall there being some. I don't know why I know this bullshit. I need to stop randomly reading things when I'm standing at the grocery counter, because I swear I'm not this person. But I saw something about Katie Holmes having to do basically that when her and Tom Cruise got married.
That sounds about right. Just to kind of keep, it's kind of like it sounds like it has that keeping in the family mentality.
I want to say maybe I accidentally listened to that Leah Remini special about Scientology.
Oh, Leah Remini?
Yeah, that one.
That crazy bitch? Yeah.
I think I might have overheard that while doing something else. I pick up information in weird ways.
Oh, well, so in this article, and I've heard, there's other people have been saying it, and it's just disturbing as well. The radio host Howard Stern compared Smith to Donald Trump, while white women on Twitter somehow decided that Smith's actions meant he must be beating his wife. Man, I hope
on the other hand, we're out here saying it must be his wife's beating him, but okay.
Yeah, I think it's the other way around.
Did they pull a muscle on that stretch? Like, what
right?
in God's
that's
name?
What I was gonna say. I was gonna say fucking Kamala Khan, Mr. Fantastic, and Luffy all did the fusion dance and stretched past the edge of creation all the way to the source wall, and they still couldn't catch up to this shit.
Dude,
how do you get Trump in there? Jesus Christ.
Oh, it's easy. Yeah. The name Trump is synonymous with anything we don't like.
Well, and people are drawing the corollary is because Trump got and said whatever he wanted to say, it's now telling everyone else that they have the ability to do this, and so now whatever Trump did has affected Will Smith's brain in a way that he thought it was okay to go on that stage, and now essentially they can link everything back to Trump. There's actually a condition. There's something that there's a term in psychology or something
TDS?
that. Well, yeah, there is TDS, but there's also something else where people take a singular event, and it can't necessarily be directed at any person, but they do because of like, well, this person was there and they said something. You saw it the whole time that he was in office, and like, oh, he did this, so he's vaguely linked to it. So we're going to
I know exactly what you're talking about. I can't remember the name. Like, it's right there on the tip of my tongue too. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So and I'm gonna pivot just kind of like to the right. I hope I can share this particular.
Before you do pivot,
please, yeah, go ahead.
Murata, what's that thing, that phrase you used against me when I said something in relation to Hitler, and you said, oh well, because this, that, and the other.
Godwin's law.
Godwin's law is the Godwin's law.
Yes.
And what's that?
Godwin's law is any conversation on the internet will eventually come back around to Hitler and the Nazis.
Oh, yeah.
But in the way it would be, instead of Hitler and the Nazis, it's now Trump.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
The Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's basically where
Exactly.
we're headed. Yes. Well, but technically, if you think about it, Trump is part of Godwin's law because what do they think Trump is?
Oh, Nazi. Yeah.
There we
Right.
go.
Literally Hitler.
So I want to share this for like how deranged people really
Oh
became.
God, that retard. Sorry.
I grabbed these screenshots because this person deactivated their account now. But I saw this, and this was someone that like I followed because I thought they did some cool cosplays with you know, a Apex Legends character. And
Lobo, more than likely.
no, actually, what's her name? Bangalore.
Oh, okay, Bangalore. I
Um,
wasn't gonna guess that. I promise you.
And they had some like interesting
I have
takes,
no
but they were
clue
never
what
like
you're talking
totally extreme. Then I saw this. Chris Rock's joke was written by a white woman. Let that sink in. And then 6 minutes later, she quote tweets FaZe Snipe Down and says, "Please stick to video games," because his tweet was Will Smith was 100% in the or was wrong 1000%. Chris Rock, a whole comedian, and that joke was as light as a feather compared to what he dealt with these past few years about their very open relationship.
True.
Shocked he wasn't even escorted out after publicly assaulting someone. I don't care about the award. So she thinks that's a bogus take and says stick to video games.
I can't argue with him. That he's pretty much correct in that entire assessment.
Right? Like right on it. So she responds to that. Also, you're whitey, which is code for white, right? Because you can't come out and just say it. You might get be called a racist.
Oh, this time I thought it was YouTube.
That's what I thought at first.
You're YouTube.
You're right. That's what I thought. Also, you're
I'm
right.
not Susan. I don't have that money. What do you mean?
So, of course, you don't see the nuance in that insult. Shut the fuck up forever. Don't worry, it gets better.
Oh,
God. Better
So-
is in quotations.
A few minutes later, she writes, "You're white and I'm not explaining it to you. Google is free." He tweeted, "They're both in the wrong. And what does being white have to do with having an opinion on a terrible joke?" Again, pretty innocuous take. Nothing extreme going on in that tweet, but somehow he's wrong because he's white, right?
yeah.
Following that up, she writes, "Y'all children of the chalk can miss me with this. This isn't a conversation you have weight in because clearly you don't understand why the insult was hurtful to black people. Kindly eat a dick and choke."
I want to go ahead and say that I'm not an advocate for black people. I'm just black. That's it. But like the whole
Right.
thing, I hate with a burning passion when people use the entire race of a specific sect of like humans. Like, oh, you don't know what black people have gone through. What? Huh? What? I'm sorry, I didn't know you were in chains. I didn't know you were in Roots, or going through Roots situations, or on Amistad or some shit like that. I didn't know you were in Africa when your great grandpappy was getting snatched up by probably another black person, or maybe an English settler or whatever.
Right.
Like I didn't know any of that shit happened to you specifically. Like that shit throws me when people go, "Oh, well, you know what? Black people have been suffering for this fucking lie." That's a fucking lie. And you see those two successful black people who just slapped each other
Over a successful black woman.
over a successful black. And the thing is, I will read that bitch to filth. Like I'm so sick of Jada. Like Jada deserves nothing. Like everything I'm not afraid to say everything that she has, and some other shit that I completely forgot she was in. She was in The Matrix. That's right. But everything that she's done is completely arbitrary in comparison to what Will's built. So like everything she's done, everything she has is off of his coattails. I'm not afraid to say that shit at all.
Right.
So this whole like, oh well, you're white, therefore you have no opinion. Look, it could have been Ricky Gervais and Tom Hanks for Revenge from 2019. Like, who fucking cares? Somebody got slapped. Now we talking about it. That's all. the skin tone don't matter, race or gender don't matter, none of that shit matters. Somebody got slapped, we talking about it. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, and we bring up Ricky Gervais. Ricky Gervais hosted the Oscars a few years ago and annihilated the entire room by like roasting them, like calling out Tim Cook. He was sitting right there, calling him like I forget what the jokes were exactly. I think it had something to do with like sweatshops or something in China.
Yep. There was sweatshops. There was definitely an island mentioned.
Right, dude. Like everybody was getting roasted. Not one person got up and hit anyone. Like. And he may have arguably deserved it. Like he, at that point, he was so resigned from Hollywood and their bullshit that he was just like, I don't even care anymore. This is the last time I'm doing it. So let's go. I'm pulling out all the stops. Yeah. He's like, I'm going out in style. And nice. Boy, did he. And, you know, again, I'm sure Chris, you know, said this joke thinking like, I'm not even going to mention alopecia. I'm just going to say you have a bald head. And she didn't even say your bald head. It was just like, you know, G.I. Jane 2, when's it coming out?
Apparently he didn't even know she had alopecia.
Yeah, that's that too. But the thing that threw me for a loop was like, I didn't know she had alopecia until somebody brought it up in an until I read it in an article. I'm sitting here looking at it like I didn't know what alopecia was. I'm reading it, I'm thinking of fruit, like some kind of new fruit or something like that. When the way that it is on the screen, and I hear somebody pronounce it. And I was like, that sounds like somebody I know from like the hood or something.
Oh God, I saw someone else make that tweet. It sounds like a black woman name.
That's that girl, alopecia. She's out there with bonquish and tinnitus. Like they was just chilling.
Oh my God. Yeah. So the bad gentleman said Gervais brought up Epstein and how some of the people in there were friends with him, you know, like it's too bad. It's too bad we live in this society now. And I don't know if, you know, maybe I guess like in a way Trump exposed people for how weak they were and not being able to like just be normal and take a joke. We used to be able to take a joke, and those tweets I showed you, those probably aren't even the worst ones. No. There were plenty out there that were just god awful. She kept making up names. I think like Alabaster Crab was another one.
Yeah, Alabaster Crab
cockroach.
Alabaster cockroach.
No, snow cockroach.
That was actually. She said Alabaster cockroach once, then she said snow cockroach another time.
Okay.
You know what bothers me about all of these like nicknames that they got against white people is that none of this shit is really creative. They're just taking another way of saying white and using something that's like demeaning as a noun in the insult, like a cockroach or something like that. It's like,
well, you saw the meme I made.
Fucking lazy. Yeah, I saw the meme you made.
I still got to figure out how to make an alabaster cockroach. So I promised people that I'm going to be spending some time in Photoshop. Yeah.
Yeah, let's like these people are just so fucking. It's lazy. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, it's like, come on now, like. I'm pretty sure any of the dogs in this house right now, including the puppies, can come up with something better.
Well, it's unfortunate because even in those tweets exchange, she talks about, and you might remember this, Amarada. Actually, maybe not, because I think Carrie responded to her. Carrie Smith, who is just a darling. If you don't follow Carrie Smith on Twitter, you should.
She should also follow her new channel.
Yes, she does a podcast called Unsafe Space.
No, not anymore.
No, not Unsafe Space.
No,
she's not doing
on that anymore. That's something happened
deprogrammed.
Now she's on deprogrammed. Yeah.
Deprogrammed. I'm sorry. Don't go to Unsafe Space. Go to deprogrammed. Carrie is awesome.
Yeah. Go ahead. Subscribe to Unsafe. Oh, it's not Unsafe. All right, unsubscribe from Unsafe. No, don't unsubscribe if you don't want to.
You should just follow Carrie Smith on Twitter @Carrie Smith. She's awesome and great and wonderful, and she's a beautiful human being.
And then go look at all her links and follow those. So
she was having a back and forth because she saw my tweet and then like retweeted her, and so she kept going back and forth. But at one point, she the person in question, not engaged or whatever, starts talking about how she's half white. First of all. So I thought it was interesting that she
the high yellow ones.
Right. And then she says like I lived half of my life as a white woman or something in like white culture. And then so now I'm doubling down or whatever, and it's my time to take it back, take my black heritage back. And I was just like, do you hear yourself? Like, do you understand? Like I mean, you couldn't sound more racist than this person did. I'm glad they deactivated their account because they just looked hella stupid.
And if I recall, their claim to being white was their grandfather was
Right.
Italian, was
Right.
an immigrant Italian. And if you know anything about history, the Italian immigrants were not spared from racism.
No.
Nobody, I mean, literally nobody was spared from it. I mean, they had, I mean, it was almost like the Irish where you had, no money, no need to apply and all that shit. The list of names of derogatory names for an Italian person is astounding.
Oh, it's quite extensive.
Yeah.
Lasagna is still my favorite.
I love lasagna.
I can't repeat any of the ones I know because they're legitimately, some people get legitimately upset about them. So.
Yeah.
Well, wait. When we're off, when the show is over, I want to hear you mention some of these, and if I happen to get angry, I'll know if I'm Italian.
Stay tuned for the after show for all paid subscribers.
Marauder shows up with the same amount of tentacles because they grow back.
Oh man, yeah, it was just a bizarre interaction, and it just shows you how twisted people are right now, that they want to make anything about race. And it's the problem that we're facing right now, is that people are finding less of a reason to come together and more of a reason to divide. And it's bizarre because people like inherently don't want to do that, but for some reason we're being told that this neo segregation is like the way to go. Like we need to have colored spaces in college and white spaces in college. And I'm like, this seems oddly familiar. Like maybe we should, look at this, and it might be troubling. No,
I've been saying that for years now. I was watching I used to nanny for my friend. I've said this before. And thing I probably didn't mention is my friend is black. So her kid is obviously, mixed. Well, that ain't technically, no, anyway. And so, we'll have conversations about this stuff. And I was reading an article about how some college, probably in California or something, was having a black only graduation ceremony. And I'm like, don't you think this is just segregation all over again? And she was actually justifying it to me. And I'm like, this makes no sense.
No, it's funny the way that all of that nonsense I'm gonna use an amazing Lucas phrase, that nonsense.
Just don't say my guy.
Oh yeah, that's right, my guy. But like the way that all this unfolds, like in their heads, they're justifying harm, they're justifying violence, they're justifying hate and all of this stuff by way of something completely meaningless in today's society. Like with everything that our ancestors have been through, because like black people enslaved black people, white people enslaved white people, Asians enslaved Asians. It's there's nobody who's safe from anyone's wrath when it comes to history in that aspect. So like where we are now,
just to be clear, it doesn't make it good, but as you said, right,
it makes it amazing. But no, no, but like the way that history is, it shows you, or it tells you what happened and how we got to where we are today. We're actually at like one of the most peaceful, if not the most peaceful times in our history as it stands. And people are just like, no. We got to keep that hatred going. It's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
It makes go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say it blows me away when people pretend that that like slavery or racism is somehow a exclusively American pastime.
Right.
And it's just it's so incredibly wrong that that like it couldn't be farther from the truth. Like this was going on way before. The Western world, specifically the United States, was one of the very first nations to abolish slavery in the way that it did, for the reasons that it did. I mean, there's slavery that is still present in the world today, but we don't. No one is fighting for them.
Yeah, we call it trafficking.
Right? Yeah. Right. We call it trafficking.
On top of the other slavery, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just it's too bad. We need to find ways to come together. We can't keep dividing people, especially over something like this. Has nothing to do with anything. These are two, like, the real issue is Will Smith and his wife.
Right.
Chris Rock was caught in the fucking crossfire of that, like he was the unfortunate recipient.
He was the fall guy.
Right. Yeah, exactly. He was the fall guy. It's, oh man. I don't, this is the stuff that really troubles me when I see something like this, which is, I wouldn't call it innocuous necessarily, but has nothing to do with like real people. And somehow everyone makes it about them. And it's just like,
it's something that I've seen mentioned in a number of people's videos, like with It's a Gundam. Like he said it a couple of times. We live in an age where everybody wants to be the center of attention. Everybody's grasping onto they're latching on to whatever bandwagon they can or whatever kind of like hype moment they can get to in order to get their 15 seconds of fame. And it's like, as opposed to like, because everyone wants that PewDiePie success or that Logan Paul success or that celebrity success, to be more specific, be more general rather. Yep. And nobody's just sitting here going, well, oh, excuse me, I was about to sneeze. That's on the video. But what I was about to say is like nobody wants to just exist or create things. They just want to be the talk of the town. And it's the weirdest shit. Like, I don't know. I'm a creative. I like to create things, so I'll do videos and stuff like that and promote my own things and whatnot, so on and so forth. But ultimately, I'm not out here, scrolling through every social media platform trying to figure out how to get like who I can get my to eye my profile and shit like that. I don't care. Right. I'm Jon. I'm playing video games. I'm lifting heavy objects and throwing my back out. Like
being harassed by a squid.
Being harassed by a squid. Being told to stop hogging the cover. Literally. I thought that shit was fake.
Oh, it happens to me every night.
You hog the covers. It's not my fault.
I don't hog. It's the cat. The cat jumps off the fucking windowsill or the ledge.
And how come once the cat's gone, I still have cover? I'm still missing covers.
Don't be blaming the cat. You be a man and you own that shit.
I am owning that shit. I'm letting you know right damn now. The way that cat jumps up. Well, all right. Barring the cat, you throw the cover off of you anyway. That's probably how it ends up on me.
So, we're gonna keep right on with the racist talk because we just can't help ourselves. And before we do move on, I do want to say I appreciate that sheet because that's partly how I try and run my platform. I try and run it on authenticity. Less of the clicky stuff, but more of the stuff that I'm like passionate about. Like I want to be in the zeitgeist. Like I want to be relevant to what's going on, and there's plenty of that shit nowadays.
Pretty much,
especially as cultural stuff, because that's important to me. Raising a family. And this, all this stuff is like, it seems like we our kind of voice is being just kind of like pushed away by a lot of people, and we're being labeled really poorly. And I'm just done with it. I'm not letting people call me names and letting it affect me. You want to call me names on the internet? Go for it, bro. Like
I've been telling people from Jump Street, I got bullied, I got jumped, I got joked on, I got all kinds of like I got all levels of assault, like physical and like mental. There was some emotional in there as well. I'm used to this shit. So like anytime someone slings a joke at me, I'll laugh. I'll make self-deprecating humor. Matter of fact, yes, I think it was yesterday. I was at when I was at my job, I came back from the store to the warehouse, and the warehouse manager is asked, "Oh, they didn't want you to do anything over there. Like, did you duck the CEO over there?" I was like, "Oh no, I didn't duck. I just hid in the shadows. Like, it's easy for me to do. I'm dark." Yeah. Everybody's laughing. I'm like, it's funny. Why not just make a fucking joke, even if it is at your own expense? Just fucking laugh. We're in the age where, oh Lord, Amara's gonna hate me for mentioning this too. But I was at the clinic earlier today. I was at the health clinic or the medical in the back of the head. But that's not important right now. But I was over there. Everybody's laughing because I'm a jokester. I'm just having fun. That's it. Just have fun. Stop. Jada, I'm looking directly at you. Fucking smile. Well, she can't smile. She lost that ability.
Oh, fucking Jada, man. She's just ruin everything for everyone.
I wouldn't
Ruin a
fuck
good
Jada.
man. But speaking of ruining good things, Jon Stewart's a piece of shit.
On and off, yeah. He has a few moments, but then he fucks it up by saying something stupid. He's
Well,
still serious.
let's have a look at what Jon Stewart's been up to. This lovely playlist that came across my desk. Where is it? Oh, here we go. Enjoy, my friends. America isn't over its racist history. This is the his show, The Problem with Jon Stewart. So the whole playlist of the problem with white people. And he has plenty of clips here. I watched the first one and almost puked, but at first I thought it was satire. Like I thought they were like, I thought it was a bit, like they were like all at this round table and they were making fun of woke people. No, they are 100% like, they are 100% serious about everything. So there's plenty of videos. I don't even want to watch the Leslie Jones one, Racism, the Spectrum, in case you guys wanted to understand the racism spectrum. Looks like Cory Booker's on here. Dismantling racism is patriotic. And here's the whole, 16 minutes of the problem with white people. I don't know why we keep going through all this and why, we have someone like Jon Stewart, talking down to us. But, and there's plenty of examples in here where they're like, oh, what do people say? Like, I wasn't alive and, I didn't own a slave. Like, you're not oppressed. Like, you live in America. And like, they make jokes of this stuff when it's, these things are, I don't know about you guys, but I think we live in, and I think Sheep, you said it, we live in like the best possible time right now. You live in arguably one of the best, if not the best country on the planet. And you have every opportunity to make something of yourself. I mean, I even watched this funny video of this TikToker who's like a classic like victim pusher, and he's like, why is America the greatest country in America? And like, he's trying to like get dumb MAGA people to stitch him, right? But inadvertently, he basically like answers his own question. It's like, America's the greatest country because it gives you the ability as a victim pusher to be successful and sell stupid t-shirts and coffee mugs and, sell people their own oppression. Like, that's why it's the greatest country. It's because we allow you to do this and we make fun of you for it. So yeah, I don't know. I was going to play a quick clip of this show and just to give you an idea of what is being said and how you'll notice that it seems like satirical at first. You'll think like, oh, this is just a funny thing, but it's being put out by Apple TV Plus. So in case you want to subscribe for this shit, here you go.
Officer, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion, of course, and it was a very stressful job.
Oh, such a stressful job as a DEI manager.
What did you do? Like, what was your purview?
Preparing presentations, making sure people knew what the definition of racism was, like just so that everyone knew what they were accountable for.
And that alone was hell.
Can you imagine like someone stepping up in front of a presentation and saying, this is the definition of racism? Like, could you imagine like just, take that hammer and hit me over the head with it. It would be much more enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
Like these people seriously have a job.
Right.
Of course, because people wanted to be like, why are you making me feel bad? I'm trying. And I'm like, I'm literally defining a word. I'm Webster today. But it was such a stressful job. And
I don't even really want to play all that much more. But that right there where they say like, where people are getting upset. And then she's like, well, I'm just defining a word. And they use that as if that's your unconscious bias talking, right? Like they talk about how like, well, that's part of your racism because you're getting mad right now. That means you don't like people of color. Like, I don't know. What are your thoughts on this sort of thing? Like, do you think this has any, do you think any of this playlist has a good place in society right now?
Only for the future when we make jokes about it.
Great fodder.
I mean, people are going to look back. I swear, people are going to look back on this in 100 or so years and think, these people were crazy. I mean, granted, a lot of us look back on it and think that now, but it's not going to. It's just they're going to be even more ridiculed in the future. Once we've come to a point where it's over this crap, we're going to be good. Hold on just 1 second.
Yeah. Sheep, what do you got? What do you got for us as our token black man?
Also, you need to put sheep back in. How could you, you
did he-
racist?
we got I'm like, why is it so silent in here?
Yeah, you know me. I'd always have something funny to say. That's why I was saying it in the back.
he dipped out so he wouldn't get in trouble for what he said.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, I was definitely slinging all kinds of racist words.
I just like it bothers me, and especially I just think I find it hilarious that like Jon Stewart of all people put this out. I mean, I guess he's okay because he has a table of mostly people of color, right?
Oh no, I would expect something like this from somebody like Jon Stewart. Not in the sense of, oh well, he's Hollywood and he wants to keep his career, but just in the sense of like anybody who leans any level of left has some level of like that I've seen, at least that I've seen. Anyone who leans left in that aspect has not so much racism, but that whole pandering mentality where it's like they have to like kind of bend the knee to a specific agenda, and be it race, the fucking gender, or what have you. Like they all have that innate feeling to just go, oh well, you know what, I don't want to step on any toes. It's like, fuck it, if your toes are in the way, they get stepped on. Like,
Right.
It's that easy. I personally, I would have hoped that Jon Stewart would just not do something like this in general. Just be like, all right, well, I know what my stance is with this. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Well, he's
like,
already
all right,
been in
cool.
trouble recently over calling the J.K. Rowling. I don't remember are they goblins? Calling them a Jewish trope, even though that's
they're the goblins, pretty much.
Yeah.
They're like Dobby and the rest
the
of the
guys
ones
who
that
run
look
the
like
bank.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. They're like not house elves. I think they're like elves or goblins. One of those.
Yeah, I think they're goblins. Yeah.
And those guys are cool.
Yeah.
It just kind of goes back to the whole like everyone's looking for like that their 15 minutes of fame, and
Right.
for as far as that goes, and Jon Stewart here, just it looks like he's just pandering, right? He's just like, hey guys, I'm making this show because I just want you to know I'm not racist. But
well, I can tell you this much: he made his the screws on his, like, I guess the threads on his screws may be cross-threaded or whatever, but they're not completely unhinged like Stephen Colbert's. That man's lost all respect for himself.
Doing vaccine dances and stuff. Oh, like
it was
what?
embarrassing.
What the hell, man?
You know you're in an embarrassing state when people look at you and go, dog, why?
Right. Well, and and Silver posted in here, power plus privilege equals BS definition. I don't think it's BS. It's BS when they apply it strictly to like white people. They say white people have power and privilege, so that is you're capable of racism. But the problem with that is that plenty of people who aren't white also have power and also have privilege. One of those people is actually in these videos. Like if like someone like Cory Booker, like he's a senator, like he has privilege, he has power.
Cory Booker is, I wouldn't say he's black though. He's, or whatever the hell he claims to be. He's like that in between where it's just like, he's kind of like The Rock when he first showed up and nobody knew what the hell he was. It's like, we can't exactly say you're white, but we ain't gonna exactly give you anything else right now. You just stay right there. Just give us a minute.
Well, he's it's the unfortunate thing is I feel like falls in that like you said, that really ambiguous area where if he says one wrong thing, he's fucking canceled because they'll pull that card. Well, you're not fully black. It's like, what?
He's gonna get Obama'd.
Right. Like it's just it's just bizarre. And that's the problem with these oppression Olympics. It becomes, no one passes the purity test. Like it almost no one does. Very few people are like, most people here who are claiming to be oppressed are like, 6th, 7th, 8th generation American. Like their whole family's been here for 400 years.
I can give you a little list here. You got Kaepernick, you got Bubba Wallace, you got Juicy Smollett, a famous French actor, you got Elizabeth Warren, you got Kamala Harris, like you got what's his name, Martin Luther King, or they call him Malcolm X. Like there's so many, there's so many people out here that claim. I guess this what is this no generation person who was just complaining about Will Smith and Chris Rock, whatever her name was, no
Engage or whatever.
Yeah, Engage or
not
something
engaged.
like that. Yeah, not engaged. Like these are people that want to find something to either A, grift off of, or B, find some level of relevance in their own personal lives with. Like these. There's a void that they cannot fill, and they will pull anything in order to satiate that. It's destructive.
Oh, for sure. Man, I just, I wanted to follow this up with the Will Smith stuff because it just kind of goes with what we were saying. Like people just want to find they want to be oppressed and they want to feel important in some way. And it's unfortunate because I feel like the opposite is so much better. Like when you look at yourself as a privileged American, and the problem is that the label of American has become it's become a pejorative, right? Like someone says, "Oh, I'm American," like, ooh, like, a lot of people will be like, "Oh, don't say that." I'm like, why? Like, I'm just proud of where I live. I'm proud of I'm proud of all the opportunities that lay in front of me. It's not a perfect system.
Forget the fact of being an American. How about just being alive in general? It's like there's some people out there who don't make it to the ripe age that we're currently at. There's some people that don't have all limbs. There's some people who can't think as fast. There's some people who don't have as many toes, or like they have some kind of social disconnection by way of like not like social awkwardness or anything like that, but just like a mental disability that prevents them from having a conversation with people. Like there are people who don't have what would be considered a functioning human pretty much. It's like there are people that don't have that, and you're sitting here from what I would consider to be your ivory tower. Like you have all your working digits, you can think fast, you can, you look good, you got all of this shit going for you, and you're sitting here saying, well, stop oppressing me. Like, what the hell what are you talking about? You are in the privileged section, and you're sitting here talking about, oh, well, from my side of not being from, like, I don't know, my privilege or my new privilege or whatever the fuck they're talking about. Like, how about you get your ass up and fucking work? I'm gonna take a page out of Kim Kardashian's book. Fuck that bitch. Not literally, but like, get off your ass and fucking work. Go get a job. Go bust your ass. Go get hit in the back of the head with the handle of fucking a pallet jack, like I did earlier today. Like, just get up and just go fucking work. Earn your keep. Don't sit here and complain about what other people have. It's stupid. Like the more you complain about what other people have, the less you focus on what you have and what you can build on.
Right. Yeah, it's like I say that to people all the time because I work with kids. A lot of them sort of underprivileged and come from really rough backgrounds, from the hood or whatever. And some people just like get lost in the adoption thing and bounce around from families, and they come to our center to find a trade and to make something of themselves. And I was teaching them personal and professional development, and part of it is just that. Like one of the hard lessons I tell them is like, ain't nobody coming to give you anything. Like you're on your own, and that's okay. And honestly, it's the best possible thing for you. And I said, and in one of the first lessons we talk about is like, I don't owe you anything. I was like, I know that might be a hard pill to swallow, but I don't owe you anything. I was like, but you owe it to yourself to get every bit of knowledge that you can from now until the day you die. to make something of yourself. And these kids
Pretty
just look at
much.
me like, whoa. Like, you know, it's like no one ever told them like they could do it, you know?
It
Because
shouldn't have to. It shouldn't. That should never be a lesson that's so complicated for a lot of people to understand. But a lot of people just don't get it.
Right. But the, you know, the issue is they come from these families who have been living off the government teat for so long. Their mothers have been telling them, we got to keep the government check coming in. They're not respecting men, you know, like all this stuff that like they've been like the whole world has been against them the whole time. And the only way out of it is to, you know, keep getting your benefits. It's like, no, man, like your success is like, is in your hard work. It's right inside your chest, man. It's inside your brain. Like you need to reach in there and grab it. You need to, you know, some of you might have to work harder than others, but this is where success is. It's not out there. It's not, you know, in daddy government. They ain't helping you. Like, sorry.
Yeah.
You know, if anything, they're going to take everything from you. You need to keep yourself, you know, lucid, keep yourself clear and work, like you said, work your ass off every day. Because everyone else who was out there is successful. And I'll even tell them, I'm like, listen, you know, that guy in the hood that's working his ass off and, you know, making a bunch of money illegally, even so, he's still working his ass off. Like he's still working hard. Yeah. He's not sitting on his ass and just like letting stuff, like whether it's risking his life every day or, you know, in his safety and safety of his family, he's still working hard and he's still making money. I don't want you to do that. I want you to live comfortably and I want you to live a successful life where you can walk outside any day and your kids can play on the street. They don't have to be around needles or around guns or drugs or anything. Like that's
although you should always have a gun, just saying.
Absolutely, you should protect your family. I am 100% for that. But you know, but some people, yes, be safe, of course. Right? Safety first.
Safety first.
Third.
Sorry, I prescribed to the micro school of safety. So
but yeah, so I'm with you, Sheep. I you know, bravo for having that mentality. I'm sure, and that's what like that's why I respect you guys. And I know, you know, when it's time for you guys to have your family, if that's what you decide to do, those are some values you're going to pass on to your kids. And I'll tell you that will turn the tide. It will absolutely change the world for the better. I've already gotten compliments on my kids who are like, you know, the teachers will say like, oh, he's such a good kid. He's so helpful. Like all the kids who, you know, like they have a class of like kids who are like on the spectrum and, you know, have, you know, trouble focusing. And they're like, oh, your son, he's so good at like helping and being kind to them. And he understands that they learn a little bit differently. And I'm like, good. Like I'm doing something right. You know, it's just like, we haven't had that talk or anything. It's just by how I act with my kids and like the little lessons we learn and teach, they're getting it. So that's it.
Yeah, I get you. I was following. Then I lost you somewhere like 3/4 on the way in. I'm playing. No, I get you.
I'm sorry. I'm going to have you start that from the beginning. I wasn't paying attention.
Oh, you could tell she was looking at something.
So speaking of children, we have more news out of Disney this week.
Okay.
Disney just loves to keep the good news rolling, likes to destroy all the things we love in comics, and you know, apparently likes to indoctrinate
just everything
our
you
children.
love in general.
Yeah. So let's bring this up here. I want everyone to see how insane this is.
They ruin your childhood. They ruin your children.
Oh, and like they like laugh about it. They you know, they think it's just
Well, they're making money while they're doing it, so they don't really care.
right.
Oh, I think this is I saw this as a Bounding in the Comics article too, and I was sitting there thinking to myself, I should throw this in the show notes, but I'm glad you said something about it.
Yeah. So Christopher Rufo, I'm glad he got his check mark back. I believe he lost it for a while. He obtained a video from inside Disney's all hands meeting about the Florida parental rights bill, because it's not the Don't Say Gay bill, it's the parental rights and education bill, in which executive producer LaToya Ravino says her team has implemented a not all secret gay agenda and is regularly adding queerness to children's programming. Let me just say right off that I don't have an issue with LGBT characters, but how this person is going about it. And I know there's another video linked to all this. I don't agree. Like the forcing of it, like at every chance we get, we're putting these characters in there. It's like, okay, like again, why can't there just be like natural stories about people? Why does it have to be 50% of everything?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I will say I definitely I disagree with the way that they're handling this, and I also disagree with the way that they portray the characters. In that every LGBT every LGBT character that they like, I guess, put out or whatever, that's what they make the character about. It's like they don't make the character like, you look at Peter Parker, regardless of him, being a total pussy hound. Like you look at Peter Parker, and the first thing you think is not, oh, he's out here, he's here slinging, like getting ass left and fucking right. No, the first thing you think is great power, great responsibility,
Right.
super strength, wall crawling, web slinging, doing superhero stuff. They don't do that with the LGBT characters. They just simply put them out there. Oh, I'm this character, he, they. These are my pronouns, and I sleep with guys. Like nobody. That's not good storytelling. That's you describing a character as if you're Stephen King trying to be Tolkien. Like
Right.
you're doing a terrible job at creating characters. There are children currently, like there are children out there right now who can create better stories than everybody in the Imaginarium right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad. It's actually pretty sad. These people are just wearing that on their sleeves. They're just like, oh, well, we pretty much got the keys to the castle now. Guess what we gonna do? Roll out the rainbow flag. Roll out the whatever the other flags they got. The East, like the flag with the weird triangle is black, brown, and white, and all that. Like they just start rolling all this stuff out. Like, oh yeah, now it's time. This has always been here. No. Nobody ever said that you couldn't, represent yourself. No one ever said that you couldn't see aspects of characters like from within these characters in yourself as well. They're simply saying, stop making it about you. It's not about you. It's about telling good stories, creating good characters. What are y'all doing?
Well, and what is the, I would like to know, like, what's the end game to that? What is the point of injecting, all these, very specific characters and queerness into these movies? Because and that's the thing is, like, if that is the case, it's diabolical. It's like, maybe that word's too strong, but it's certainly like wrong.
No, it's diabolical because they played the long game. And something Eric July has mentioned. They played the long game. While one side of the aisle was saying, you keep it out, this, that, and the other side was saying, no, it's fine. We can have a little bit here and there, this, that, and the other. And once they start to win the favors, that's when they end up in a situation like Canada. Like, what was that guy's? What's the guy's name? Justin Trudeau. Like, like everybody picked Justin Trudeau off of popularity. Now the motherfucker don't want to let go of that power, even though like pretty much all of Canada is just saying, Doug, you are in the wrong in this. And he almost lost the popular vote last time. He was like, no, we ain't about to have another one.
From what I understand, he did actually win the popular vote, but I don't know exactly how the rules there work.
You say he won?
He lost the popular vote.
Okay. So he lost the popular vote.
Yeah, they must have a similar system. I'm not totally familiar with Canada's political system or electoral system.
Yeah, democracy sucks anyway. Whatever.
Certainly not a very smart way to go about it, because then you get retards like him. Oh shit! Should I not say that word?
Nah.
Well, it's not the first time it's been used on this stream. So
you're talking about the word retard, right?
That one, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. In relation to Justin Trudeau, the retard.
Yes. The man who is mentally slow.
Right. You can't really call people who are that. I don't know. Maybe because maybe it's okay because he actually is. I don't know.
Oh, right. The retard called Trudeau. Trudeau, the retard.
Well, luckily we're not monetized anyway, so I guess it doesn't really matter at the end of the day.
That's pretty much why I have no problem going on the tear.
Right. But yeah. So I'm not going to play this video because it just makes me mad, but you guys are welcome to go check it out yourself. I didn't throw the links in the show notes, but I will for when we clip everything up. It's just evil. Messing with kids at such a young age is just not, it's not right. Like I'll be kind about it. It's not right. The parents are responsible for talking to their kids about stuff like this. Again, I don't have a problem with these characters existing, but you don't need, like, it doesn't need to be talked about constantly. Like there's not a bunch of, we're not blatantly going about illustrating how straight people are. It's just, I don't know. And there's no reason to, there's no reason to identify the LGBT people of these things, because it's just unnatural. These people don't go doing that in real life. I mean, I guess they do to an extent with their massive amounts of parades, but like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like you meet someone and they're like, "Oh, by the way, I'm gay." If you didn't know, it's like no one does it. They just live because they realize they're person. They're not that.
Yeah, it's something that you don't really care for. That's something that if you're having a conversation with somebody, or if you're building up a friendship, that's not something that's not something you normally find out about during the first encounter.
Right. Well, because it's not important, right? Like it's not what defines them. It's like most normal people, it's just like they're going to just treat each other like normal human beings, and then somewhere along the way, like they'll just discover, or maybe they might share that information. But it's not something you offer up immediately, because it doesn't matter, because normal people like ourselves, we judge on merit, we judge on actions, not like I don't want someone to judge me because I'm straight, or like I want them to judge
for
me
love
because
of God, don't judge me for who I sleep with. It's an anime black man. I don't need that judgment. I have enough problems.
And certainly don't judge the damaged hero or the booted hero for sleeping with the squid. So
see, yeah, I mean, we have our own issues. Who I sleep with doesn't make me who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And who I am is who I am.
We love you.
Popeye the Sailor, man. I got to change my name.
There you go. Yeah, it's just, this stuff just makes me mad. And the fact that Disney's at the center of a lot of this stuff, and they were at the center of another tweet that, and I didn't pull it up, but they're talking about how they don't stand with the Florida governor for his stance on LGBT, the Don't Say Gay bill. So not only do they misrepresent the bill, but they also are okay with they're okay with adults talking with 5 to 8 year olds about sexuality and gender and pronouns and transness. It's not for them to do.
No,
it's not for them to do. It's weird that they're standing behind it.
The thing that kind of gets me when it comes to like talking with these people, I guess these individuals, these weirdos on Twitter, and you should never really talk with these weirdos on Twitter, just mock and shame them. But nonetheless, like the thing that always gets me with these individuals is when you mention something like, "Oh, well, that's not a conversation you should be having with someone who can barely write their name cohesively." Like they sit there and they go, well, they'll say something to the degree of, well, I don't understand why it's an issue that I cannot talk about my sexuality with my children. By the way, not your children; those are someone else's children. You're
Right.
just, the appointed tutor. That's all you are. You teach. That is your job. You have a service. You provide said service. You don't inject any of your own personal life into a child's life who will not care for you when they've graduated, like at all. I mean, they might swing by every now and then and say, "Hey, what's going on?" Sure, fine and dandy, but ultimately, that should not be something that you should be teaching to kids who, again, are just now learning about how to even like function in like regular society.
Right.
They barely know their ABCs. They barely know how to count to fucking 22. And you're sitting here talking about, oh, well, if I put my thing in this other guy, like, stop. Like, if it wasn't for violating the NAP, you would be laid out on the curb. Like,
Yep.
These are people that I want to pull an Ezra Miller on these people. Like, it pisses me off how much like Like all they do is they sit there and they just shield themselves from any kind of criticism while dishing out criticism. Like it makes no fucking sense.
Yep. Yeah, that's the most insane part, right? Though, like what you just said, they shield themselves from criticism while dishing it out like relentlessly. And and I don't. Did I interrupt you? I didn't mean to.
No, I was just simply going to say like they are. It's one of my favorite analogies that Eric uses when he says they'll get in the ring with you, loaded gloves, paid the ref, paid off the bailiff, paid off the audience. So pretty much everybody there is in that person's corner, and you're still going to sit there and try to fight honorably. I personally won't fight honorably. I'll look at you and be like, oh, well, you're a fucking idiot, and I'll just shame you. It doesn't bother me in the least. I might look bad in the end, but I mean, so do you. Who's really winning here? I mean, who's losing here?
Well, and this is again a perfect segue because you kind of touched on the next thing I want to talk about, and we're kind of getting into the bonus stuff here that we have planned. Bonus round.
We're speeding through. I get it.
Yeah. Woo, we did it, guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's share this article. This article is from the Daily Wire, discussing Florida teacher of all fucking people. So Florida teacher is upset that he gay Florida kindergarten teacher worries on MSNBC he won't be able to share his love life with kids anymore. Oh my God.
Not something you should have to do with kids. I can understand sharing your love life with your close friends, but kids aren't your close friends. They are the people who get your bills paid.
Right. And no, go ahead. No, you please.
I was going to say, I don't understand what teaching them the alphabet has to do with your love life.
Right.
LGBTQ plus. That's how the alphabet starts with them.
Well,
they don't even have the alphabet right there, but I mean,
yeah, you're not wrong.
And his quote, immediately goes with, it hits hard in my heart professionally and personally. He said, professionally, it truly makes me feel like I'm not trusted as a professional, and you shouldn't be. I know my kindergarten standards through and through, and nowhere in our curriculum does it have anything about teaching sexual orientation or sexual identity.
Really quickly, sorry,
yes.
I don't mean to keep interjecting at this like this, but I do this with videos, like a video happened, like I come up with a thought, pause it, get my thought out, and then unpause it. But where he says right there, where he says, it truly makes me feel like I'm not trusted as a professional. I know my kindergarten standards through and through. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, your standards through and through. And at that point in time, anybody who has kids in there should get them the hell out. Get them the hell out.
Right.
Like that right there is a telltale sign. Oh, I know what I'm doing. Oh, you know what you're doing. Okay, cool. Well, I'll go ahead and you know what? Miss Crabapple or whatever your name is. I'm going to help you get your kid out of this school because this guy's a psycho.
Yeah. And this is what the conflictingness, or like the conflicting nature of the quote. Because in the second part, he says, we should be able to have discussions. And that's what we're encouraged to do in kindergarten. No, it's not.
No.
He said, and then he says, my kids do have questions. Oh, your kids.
Exactly.
Your kids.
That's the one thing that bothers me when teachers say my kids, they're not your kids, they're your students. Yes,
they're your students. They're not your kids. It's so again, it's contradictory. There's there's nothing in the curriculum, right? So it's not officially on paper, but we're going to have discussions
on Reddit
with my kids. They want to know who my partner is in pictures outside of my classroom. Oh, okay. And I should be able to speak to them. But again, it's like, oh, that's fine. No one's saying you can't talk about this person, but what is it that you're discussing about this person? That's my partner. End of story. I'll tell you, my 4-year-old, almost 5-year-old, doesn't know to ask questions like, what does partner mean? Oh, it's your partner? It's your friend? Okay. They don't know. They'll, if anything, they'll say, well, did you go to the thing? And they'll ramble on a sentence about doing something that they like to do. It's just like, in this, do you worry that you won't even you won't? Wow, is this a misspelling? Do you worry that you won't be able to talk about your own personal life?
That's misspelling.
Yeah, it's a misspelling. Okay, goddamn Daily Wire.
Get your
Edit
shit together, Daily Wire.
And then he goes on to say, "Oh, absolutely, you're 100% correct. That's what we do as educators. We build relationships with our kids, and in order to build a relationship, you talk about your home life." What?
No, you don't. No,
What?
no, the fuck you don't. You do not talk about your home life to build up an educational relationship with your fucking students. You fucking Philistine.
Yeah, man. Sorry, but this guy has no business being around kids. Again, there's, and maybe I'll admit, maybe I'm taking it a little too far, but like I wouldn't even necessarily talk about my home life because it's not anyone's business. I might talk about life in general, but I'm not gonna like talk about what my wife and I are doing.
It's no one's business except for you and your wife, or you and your partner in this case. Like you being gay, fine. Nobody gives a fuck about that. You should not tell kids about, you should not open up a conversation with kids about that, especially because that first off, that tells me that you have nobody else to talk to. Not even your own partner wants to talk to you about what you guys are doing. Like, that's pretty fucking sad that you would turn to children, like little individuals whose brains are still developing. You turn to them and go, "Oh, well, I think, well, me and my partner, we were doing butt stuff." Like, no, get the fuck, what?
Butt stuff.
Butt stuff. Like, can you not? Like, I feel like, and Amarada and I have already had this conversation. That like she would put me on the corner before she would put me on the corner before we take our kids to public schools, and by put me on the corner I mean hooking. I wouldn't hook. Like I never would. I will not subject myself or let her subject herself to that at all. I will homeschool these little motherfuckers by myself if I have to.
The problem is you still have to feed them.
Yeah.
That's your job. But like I'm not like I'm not gonna I'm not gonna I
There's
wouldn't
no
let
food
my
in the
kids.
kitchen. There ain't nothing to cook. Just saying.
Yeah, well,
true.
Right there. But like what the whole thing is like, I'm like, we would homeschool, like self-homeschool, before we even consider or even think about thinking about going down a public school route. Like I went to public school, figured out everything that they were teaching me. I already knew how to fucking do, so I ended up failing classes because I started slacking off. I was too smart.
Yeah.
I was so damn smart that I looped on the fucking intellect spectrum and ended up back in like the sped area. But like I wouldn't subject my kids to that. And I know a lot of people will complain, "Oh, how are your kids going to get exposure to the real world?" Well, there's this thing that we used to do as kids. It's called go outside. And we'll go outside, go to the park. We'll go to like, Target or something like that. It's not like kids cannot enjoy life.
Well, there's always classes and extracurricular activities, and
exactly, like there's karate classes, which are, I would hope our kids go to take some fake karate classes. Hopefully we get LaRusso. No, not LaRusso. I want Johnny Lawrence. Johnny Lawrence is cooler.
He is. He's more like they definitely fixed his storyline, making, redeeming him. Yeah, like, so going on with his quote, he continues to say, "It scares me that I'm not going to be able to have these conversations with my children because they're going to ask me what I did on the weekend." Wait, did I read that part already?
No, you didn't.
No, they're asking me what I did on the weekend. I don't want to hide that my partner and I went paddleboarding this weekend. I mean, I don't even like. It's just
to me, I don't understand why would telling your kids that you went paddleboarding this weekend violate that law? It wouldn't.
It wouldn't. That's what I was about to say. It's like, oh, my boyfriend and I, or my partner and I, regardless of however you phrase it, yeah, we went paddleboarding. Okay, cool. Like, that's it. Oh, well, I had a teacher. She told me about how she and her husband traveled to like almost every state like there was like maybe 2 that she hadn't been to. She went to Hawaii for like a week, came
Mhm.
back, and she shared some macadamia cookies with the class. And I was like, oh fuck yeah, this lady's
Yum.
cool.
Yeah.
But like she didn't sit there and tell me about like how her husband dicked her down. Like that's not something that we as kids had interest in. We were more invested in like, you know, what she did as far as adventuring goes. Like, where did you travel this time, kind of thing.
Right.
Like that our interest is not in her relationship, it was in her adventures, like what she did.
Mhm.
I mean, I did have a high school teacher talk to us about how when his wife gave birth, she nearly shot the kid across the room.
That's
But
funny. That's funny. Mama Zuka, I like it.
just because, I mean, she was that strong, but, you know,
Good
overall,
grief.
And I do want to add on to like where it's like the personal stories and stuff like that. Like these sharing personal stories is fine with people. It's like the age group that we're talking about
Mhm.
does not give one shit
At
about
all.
paddleboarding. They don't care about who you're sleeping with. They don't care about they really do not care about these things. They are one track minded, but like it's one track mind on 30 tracks all intertwined together. Like they hop from track to track. It's crazy how kids this age are. Most of them.
I got
And-
another anecdotal situation. One of my buddies in Atlanta, their art teacher is gay. He's he's one of the coolest dudes I know. He's actually like my favorite art teacher that I was never taught by. And that's saying something because I've had art teachers since I've been having art teachers since I was in like kindergarten. No, actually since I was in preschool. Like I've had a whole bunch of different art teachers and he's cool as hell. Like again, like my stance has never been, oh well, don't say gay or I don't like gay people or anything like that. It's always been don't make that the basis of your teaching these children or educating them, teaching them, like helping them learn about things as far as like, you know, basic functioning or motor skills, rather not motor skills, but fundamentals. There we go. About fundamentals of, I guess, the education system, really. Like fucking math and spelling and some history and some science and stuff like that. Like it, and again, like he and I, the art teacher I'm talking about, he and I, we've had drinks, we've had conversations about our personal lives and stuff like that. Like we're cool ass people. We bought each other gifts for like Christmas and birthdays and shit like that.
right.
But at the end of it all, like I was an adult at that point, and you know, he doesn't go and tell his kindergartners. I think he teaches, I can't remember if it was kindergartners or like first graders, but he doesn't go and teach the children that he doesn't teach his students about like his sexuality. Like he doesn't tell them, hey, this is how life is being a gay guy. Like he might mention that he's gay, but like that's about it.
Right.
It shouldn't have to go into like a deep dive and having a full blown fucking relationship with children.
Right. Well, because like again, talking about stuff naturally as it comes up in that, like I would bring up my wife or like, you know, like if someone came up where like the person mentions their partner in a relevant discussion, that's fine because it's a normal conversation, right? It like you're bringing context to something. Of course, if the subject matter is appropriate, and I was just going to read what the bill says specifically that I, you know, like the classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties on sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through third grade or in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students. So these things can be brought up as long as they're age appropriate and they're developmentally appropriate for students in accordance with the state standards.
Right.
So again,
on more to the point, they can't instruct on them, which is different than just having a casual classroom discussion.
Exactly, right? So it goes back to what we were saying, I think, last time. Teach a kid how to think. Don't teach them what to think. This is exactly what the bill is stating. Again, if a instructor or a teacher brings up somehow in conversation their partner or if a student has two dads and they talk about it, it's developmentally appropriate to talk about that now. Like, because again, gay people exist. No one is denying the existence of these people, right? We all know that they exist, and we're friends with a lot of them, and they're fine. They're normal people. Again, it makes sense to bring it up at these points, but I'll tell you, I don't know it doesn't seem to really come up with kids. That kids don't distinguish with like skin color or orientation this way. They just exist. They talk about their friends. They talk about Susie, and they never once mention a black girl or a black kid. It's all they're just humans to one another. It's the most beautiful thing. Like once you start seeing it in action, it's really cool. But for some reason, these teachers, they want to make a case, and companies like Disney want to make the case that these people can talk to your students about this and tell them that they should be a certain way or do a certain thing because they want to play with a Barbie or because they want to wear pink or whatever. And it's sickening, to say the least.
Yeah, for sure.
Bizarre. Anything you guys want to add to this particular thing? Because I mean, it's funny how all of this stuff is sort of like run together down to this point.
I mean, we're basically in a time of the world where everything's predicated on either your skin color or your sexual orientation or basically anything else other than just the person that you are.
Yeah. And it just seems so regressive, right? It feels like at some point in the past, like 100 years, it was all about work hard. I guess the manifest destiny, right? Like go out there and make something of your future and like just take it. And now it's just like, no, we're going to regress and we're just going to segregate back to our little bins. Like you're a white person, you're a black person, you're gay, you're trans. And that's all that. And if you cross the line in any way, we're going to get you and you're going to be in trouble. And it's sad. It's sad.
Yep.
Well, Sheep, this was something that you wanted to talk about. Anita Sarkeesian.
Oh, this bitch.
The professional victim.
The professional fucking victim
wants to dig up her hard work from 10 years ago and just make everything about her again because she fell out of relevancy, but she needs to get back in there somehow.
Yeah, she tried her hardest back in like what was it 2018 when the Mandalorian first came up. Like she tried her fucking best. It's like, boob armor, this, that, and the other. And it's like everybody shut her down quick. Everybody shut her down. It's like, well, boobs can't exactly feel. They're not.
You got to make
like
room for them.
Body armor, right? You got to have room for it. You got to be practical. Well, now they'll know they're women. I mean, what so? Can they get the job done is the question.
Yeah, I never really fully understood like why she was so important in this whole thing. Like she just seems so
well,
it just go ahead.
The whole thing with Anita's case is that she was the one like, ringing the bell the loudest when it came to like quote unquote sexism or the whole like damsel in distress trope when it comes to like the male power fantasy and stuff like that. And in most cases, I understand where she's coming from because, a lot of male power fantasies involve the guy being like, some level of super awesome, saving a girl, finding a MacGuffin and saving the world. Like, okay, it's a pretty bare bones, but still fun storyline or a plot to go through. But her whole thinking is, well, women aren't represented, completely overlooking every single female character that has been any level of badass. And I'm not even about to go through like, the ones that everybody normally goes through, like, the Laura Crofts and Samus Arans and stuff like that. Like people are completely overlooking Blaze Fielding from Streets of Rage 2. Right. People are completely overlooking like Chun-Li and Katana and Melina. Katana's story being that she's like, she's pretty much the princess of the underworld, but she doesn't like her father's method of like, I guess, his ruling. So she kind of like rebels against him. And I'm just like, oh, well, shit, I like that. And then like you have like a whole bunch of other female characters throughout history as far as video game history,
Mhm.
who have some level of relevance. So she's overlooking that and saying women do not get the representation that they deserve, so on and so forth. So she'll go, oh, well, they're always a damsel, or they're always the ones who are being abused, completely overlooking the fact that, like, you look at a lot of video games, dudes die at an alarming rate. There's a lot of NPC. Have you ever played Dynasty Warriors?
Right.
Almost every enemy is a dude. Like almost every single enemy. The only characters that are actually the only female characters that are enemies are like prominent characters. But like it's always been a narrative with Anita Sarkeesian. And because she rang the bell loud enough, people started bending the knee and like conceding to her retarded ass take and started funding her dumbass projects and stuff like that. Then I guess she made off with a fucking bunch of loot, kind of like the BLM chick, like just made off with the loot, left all the people who helped her get that far behind. And now all of a sudden, here we are 10 years later, where she's probably trying to get some more money. And just like 10 years in retrospect. Like, bitch, you fucked it up for so many. Last of Us
Right.
was good. Now
Yeah,
we
if
got
anything-
Abby.
If anything, she diluted the female character like in many
Absolutely.
ways. Like
Oh yeah.
it's just like they're like those characters that we're talking about were like written so incredibly well and like had real substance to them and had stories behind them. And now it's just like even like this is BS. Like I mean the Call of Duty series, like now, if you look at the characters that are available, most of them are female
Yep.
and they look like dudes, and but like they're all like I remember playing Call of Duty Vanguard when it came out, and I was like, okay, there's a bunch of women in here and they all look flawless. Like none of them have scrapes on their face, or no one's like war hardened at all. They look like they just rolled out of a Sephora and threw on a fucking uniform. Like
Out of a Sephora.
like what? Like these aren't strong female characters. All they did was like swap the head on a character model, and it's like,
Pretty much.
what's the point? These characters were written beautifully, and who cares about characters in Call of Duty? No one gives a fuck about those characters. No one's given a shit since Modern Warfare ended.
As a quick aside, what another thing that a lot of people like Anita Snarkeesian or Anita Sharky Spin, as I call her, a lot of things that like these individuals overlook is one of the most probably gender ambiguous characters up until the actual armor reveal.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most gender ambiguous characters pretty much inspired the plot line for one of the best female characters in cinema history, being Ripley.
Oh yeah.
It's like you look at the story of Metroid, you look at the story of Alien, they're pretty much similar in that aspect.
Right. Yeah. This just seems like another attention grabbing. Like no one remembers me. So I just need to bring this up, and we need to push this again when gaming is still male dominated. I guess
bad news, Anita, it always will be a male dominated
Madden
space.
It's fucking football.
Like sports games and Call of Duty alone will pretty much keep that shit male dominated.
I'm gonna say the one thing that pisses me off specifically about this general topic is the way that people like her have made being in the gaming space more difficult for people like me, because now as a woman you are almost always met with a bit of aloofness, because they're trying to figure out, well, is this person honest, or are they just another crazy bitch who's going to try to attack me for daring to say the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And so it takes, I mean, it was not, I wouldn't say it was always easy being a woman in the gaming space to begin with, but now you've got this extra bit of distrust that you have to kind of win over just to get people to relax so you can just enjoy and have fun.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And they don't think about how that actually affects the people who are already in the space. And The fact is, the people who would chase us out to begin with are the same people who are standing over here now saying, "Oh, you need to be nice to women." It's
Fuck
frustrating.
that. Fuck that. You in the lobby with me, you get the hands like the dudes.
Exactly.
Right. It's something, the people, for some reason, it's been told, or the conclusion has been drawn, that if a man insults a woman in a game lobby, that it's like misogyny. It's like, no, how about you just happen to be here and we're just shit talking? Like,
Yep.
get good, kid. Like that's all we're saying, and if, again, if someone wants to use certain slurs, like, well, that's on them. But I think for the most part, people are just like, it's just poking fun. It's locker room talk.
Hell, I prefer those certain slurs. It's like it's like that SpongeBob episode when they're just using like the seven bad words.
Yeah.
It's like that. And it's just like, it's like adding a little bit of seasoning, a little bit of spice to your dialect. And it's just like, yeah, go ahead and drop the hard R, you 12-year-old white kid. I will laugh, please. It's funny. I welcome that.
And I hate this shit too. Like, women make up 24% of employees at Activision Blizzard, for instance. Did it ever occur to anyone that maybe women don't want to work in video games? Like,
Did it ever
maybe
occur
this
to
is
anybody?
Well,
Like,
like,
you look. Go ahead. I was about to say, you look at that 24%. You sit there and you think to yourself, well, can they get the job done? Because that's what really matters.
right. And that's my point too, is like 24% is a pretty high number. Like, I think, and especially, I mean, it is a male dominated industry, but I think for good reason. And, men and women don't have the same interests in this whole fucking equity and employment thing. It's like, why would you want like to force 50% of your company to be that? I love when Jordan Peterson brings up the bricklayers example. It's like, well, bricklayers is 99% male dominated. Should we have equity there? And all the women are like, what are you talking about? Like, no, this is your argument. You want equity in all these fields. So like now, men are way overrepresented as bricklayers. So I think we need to have a movement.
Yeah.
And the same thing here. It's like, I think 24% is a pretty good percentage of women in this particular company. And I would say it probably is around the same for a lot of different places, whether it's forced or not. And again, like, you don't want to force people in industries they don't want to be in. You want the right people in the spot. We already know that, these quotas for universities, especially at the Ivy League level, only contribute to dropout rates. You're putting in people who aren't qualified to be at Harvard or Yale or, any of these places, and they drop out because they underperform, because you're just trying to fill a spot. You're not putting the most qualified person in there. Again, base it on merit, not on your DEI requirements.
Pretty much.
Yeah. But, this is, I wish she would go away. Like, I'm kind of sick of her dumb face and her leopard print blazer.
That is
It's the funny thing. The funny thing about when it comes to Anita is that I'm not sitting here saying, oh, well, you should have just been a nice person or anything like that. I'm sitting here from a certain perspective. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I was like, she's not a bad looking woman. She just has a very terrible attitude, and that makes her a terrible person. That just makes her whole disposition just bad.
Right.
Like, she's making herself unapproachable. I'm not saying that she's supposed to be out looking for, I would hope that she would want to build something with somebody. I'm not saying that she should be doing that at all. But what I'm saying is she's coming off as a bitch before she even meets anybody. She's just presenting herself as a bitch. So people, like, when they see her, they just already have that that mentality of, I'm not gonna like talking to this individual. It's like, why would you set yourself up for something like that? That seems kind of stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, man.
But that whole article, only reason I ended up looking it up is because the Quartering covered it, and she says something to the degree of like, I can't remember what the phrase was. I know it's in that article. Something like, she said something about like the gaming community being where it is now because of like the moves that she and other people like her made, and that they won or something like that. And I'm sitting here like, well, I mean, Ghost of Tsushima is still one of the best games to step out of PlayStation's exclusive list. Looking at The Last of Us, and that game is one of the best games to step out of PlayStation's exclusive list too. And Uncharted 1 through 3 are pretty damn good.
Yeah.
And you know, you got a couple of other exclusives, but nowhere up there do you see The Last of Us 2. Just saying.
Right. If I tried to make any of these tropes videos today with only games from the last 10 years, it would be harder. Not impossible, but harder. There would be fewer examples.
They're predominantly female, not female centric, but because most games within the last 10 years have strong female characters as main characters. So I mean, I understand what she's saying in that aspect.
Right. But she's also stroking herself here too, because she's like, because of the work I did. It's
Yeah,
like,
pretty much.
get over yourself, lady. Like, who are you? Like, what games are you playing? Like,
None anymore. She pretty much made all the money.
Yeah, she strikes me as the person who requires a easy mode in Elden Ring. Like, get lost.
Yeah.
The fabled journal mode.
I was gonna share my bookmarks tab because I love sharing, or I love bookmarking some of the more outrageous things that happen on the internet, especially on Twitter. But I was really concerned about
what
the
the
amount.
fuck am I looking at?
Right. Yeah. So a fourth grade teacher in, I believe this was Michigan, McMinnville Elementary, was arrested and charged with attempted rape of a child after communicating for months with what he thought were minors in an attempt to engage in sexual activity.
So
right.
he EDP'd himself.
Yeah, dude. Fucking, which, why are these morons still falling for that? Oh, I'm texting this underage kid and we're gonna go meet in a hotel room. Like, what planet are you on? Like, have you ever turned on the
people
TV?
Think Twitter's real.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, yeah, it's of course this guy, right? Who'd have known this guy was a kid toucher?
Yeah. It's a
that
good
Ralphie's bunny suit?
Right. How dare he?
I thought Piggy.
It almost looks like an older Ralphie. Ralphie, what happened to you?
He didn't. Well, apparently he
It was
didn't
that
shoot his eye
leg.
out.
It was that major award. It just irrevocably damaged him. His mother was right.
Yeah, he didn't shoot his eye out. Just as one of his testicles.
Yeah.
James Lindsay shared this clip as well. A senator from, I believe, California senator is so upset about a Florida bill that prohibits discussing sexual orientation, gender theory with 5 to 8 year olds students in public schools. Why is a lawmaker who doesn't have kids themselves encouraging legislation that incrementally chips away at parental consent and gives the authority to the state over parents? I wonder why.
I'm pretty sure these senators have children.
Well, I don't know if this guy does particularly, but like he doesn't. He certainly doesn't act as if he does.
He ain't got no kids.
But it's alarming to me. Why I saved all of these is because it's happening so much more. And like, this one here, there's like 2 copies, but there's quite a few. There's like 5 tweets, separate ones on like 5 separate people, like talking about how we need to be able to have access to your kids and talk about all this stuff. Like, excuse me, like this is 21 seconds.
You shouldn't have access to a goddamn thing. We should have access to your kids. You should have access to this knuckle sandwich and some fruit punch.
Right. Well, I didn't even
Give him access to a wood chipper. Does that count?
Yeah, please.
Yes. An active wood chipper. There you go.
We can't hear anything.
Oh, can you not hear this one?
Yes, good old Streamlabs or StreamYard. I mean, I think it's when you. I think you have to reshare it.
Still can't hear anything.
Nothing.
Either way, it's just another weirdo teacher trying to get access to your kids and wants to talk about
the gape on her face.
There's that one again. Hey, look, there's a familiar name.
Hey, look at that
guy. Yeah, that's me.
Yep. So I got plenty to say about Moon Knight, but I'll be saving that for later this week.
There you go.
Did you guys watch the first episode?
Nope.
No, we don't do Disney anything.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I've opted out of everything Disney. I've opted out of everything Marvel and DC. I have too much other shit to focus on.
You know, I'm actually thinking of doing the same only because I have access to, I mean, well, a version of Jack Sparrow to get most of my content.
Nice.
So I thought like, well, maybe it's time to give up.
You're gonna
and just-
retire the old hat.
Well, I mean, I don't keep it for me. I keep it for my kids. Like my
Right.
kids
Mhm.
love all the Disney movies and all the new stuff that, well, a lot of the new stuff that comes out they like to dabble in. But I mean, I don't even show them a lot of the new stuff. It's they see it at school. Like they'll watch like movies. At the end of the day, they'll put on a movie once they're done
Right.
with like most of their stuff. And I talked about the Turning Red movie, which actually wasn't as bad as initial.
Everybody's making out to be.
Yeah,
I
the
kind
initial.
of figured it wasn't going to be. It looked like something that, I remember being a 13-year-old girl.
Mhm.
It
I
looked
don't.
like something that somebody in that age range would probably identify okay with.
Right.
And that other people are going to freak out about because, let's face it, half the population has never been a 13-year-old girl.
Well,
Now,
and oh, go ahead.
I want to just say that I will say that if anybody wants some level of insight as to a good take on the movie, I would say look at Justin Guy's video talking about it, because he did break it down in a way that makes you go, oh, okay, I understand from a different perspective, aside from, oh, this shouldn't be for kids. No, it's not about not being for kids. It's about, well, it's a coming of age story. It's a coming of age story for 13-year-old girls. But the way that what Justin Guy pretty much says is the way that it was framed, it seemed less like, a hero's journey and more of an I, me, my kind of story. Like it was disjointed the way that they told the story.
Yeah, it was a little. I mean, it certainly wasn't for me. Like
Right.
that movie was not for a male audience. It was for a 13-year-old girl audience. 100%. And yeah, I would agree. And that's basically what I was saying, was that like the initial reviews that came out, I think some idiot said it was like so sexual and horny, and I was like, what
Yeah.
the fuck? It's not that, but there's a couple like sus moments where I was like, what language did they just use? Like
It's
they use like
it
budding
came off as
flower,
they're over there
senior
like
flower.
sorry, I had a joke, and I was about to say, it came off as sexual and horny, and Shrek is over here like, hold my swamp.
Right.
Right.
You watch Shrek when you're older and you're like, really?
Yeah.
What?
Well, and that's why, to some degree, I'll be honest, like when you look back on the cartoons that we watched, like
Ren and
there
Stimpy.
are like there's a lot of very adult jokes in them.
Yep.
But it takes like an adult brain to get them.
Mhm.
And I think that's what this movie does in a way, is that it walks the line really well, and it does it tastefully, but it's just like where I think a lot of cartoons growing up were for like all age or all both boys and girls. This
Right.
one is for girls. Like there's no one else that this movie is for. My two boys watch it as like, because they think the big red panda is cool. But that's
So
it. They
just
don't
Kung
know,
Fu Panda, got you.
right. They don't know anything else other than the red panda.
I mean, in fairness, they are covering a subject that is particularly niche
yeah.
in terms of, a woman's coming of age. It's something that honestly, and I'm probably, I may get canceled by everybody for this. I do think it's important for those kinds of stories to be out there specifically. I mean,
Get her out
there
of
is
here.
a lot of, I know where you live.
I know where I
There's a
live too.
yeah.
Don't come in the room.
There are a lot of generalized stories that can be told, and it's in some way, I haven't seen the movie, so I can't say if it's good or bad or whatever, but it is in some way nice to see that people are moving to a point in the world where they can address that specific subject. And yeah, there was some upsettedness about it, but it's something that really didn't. I should say, get covered in the past. I can't think of any stories necessarily regarding a woman's first menstrual cycle that we had growing up. And it might have been nice to have that kind of thing to kind of blunt the suddenness of it, because when it first happens, it's a kind of a trippy experience, and it can kind of mess with the relationships around you because of it. So it's good to see it portrayed in a PG-13 way.
Yeah, I get that.
It was, and I think you basically hit it. And I'm in the same boat as you. I think to a degree, like, these stories need to be told, and I think it's a good one for young girls to experience, because I certainly can't think of something. I think, wasn't the movie Carrie about that?
Yeah, but I don't know that I would show that to small children.
Right.
Me?
I mean, in some ways, Carrie was about a lot of things.
Right, it was.
Really.
What about
But
It?
yeah,
I watched It as a kid too.
Yes.
And now look at us.
I mean, my kids will probably watch that shit, but I
My
mean,
kids, like, it's not
I
that
don't.
many our kids. Continue.
Okay, our kids will probably watch
There we
that shit,
go.
but whatever. But I don't think most people would show their children Carrie, hoping for them to get an understanding of that portion of your life.
Right.
Yeah.
But no, Turning Red was done was done well enough, and I think it will be a movie that young girls can relate to for sure, and feel not alone, because I'm sure in that moment a lot of girls feel like, oh shit, I'm an island. There's no one else who understands this, and not to mention everything else that's going on. And like, I just think, like, even not knowing or ever experiencing that, like, how they portrayed her, like, her room, and how she was, like, her obsession with, like, boys at the time, and how her friends interacted with her, which I was actually surprised that they made her, like, straight, like, she liked boys. I was honestly, like, floored that was a part of that. I could have swore that they were going to be like, it was going to be something else, but they did portray the boys as, like, those stupid fucking TikTok boys who are, like, so effeminate it makes you sick.
Good grief.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that shit bothers me to hell and fucking back. I'm sitting here looking at people like like David Bowie and Prince, and like all of these other individuals back in the day who put on something, like, they put on, like, an effeminate show. Freddie Mercury had his look to him, and, like, they still were masculine at the end of it all. It's just like, how do y'all miss the mark so fucking hard?
Right. I was going to say that. I was like, but every single one of those guys still had this, like, masculinity to them. And I think for the most part, it was, like, the chest hair, probably. Like, it was still, like, I mean, Freddie Mercury and Prince kind of, like, but I feel like David Bowie maybe missed it. But even still, like, he's still, like, you knew he was a man. Like, you knew he was, like, that was, like,
Robert Plant, another one.
I mean, there was his bulge, so it's kind of hard to miss that he's a man.
Right.
Yeah. Too.
But like, this, it's crazy, man. I'll tell you, it doesn't seem like this show will have ever a shortage of things to talk about, and that's one thing I'm excited about. But yeah, I mean, I'm good. We touched on everything and then some tonight, and we just hit our 2-hour mark. That's awesome.
We did better than
covered a lot of ground.
We did better than gay kindergarten teachers.
Oh God.
Hey, he phrased it that way. It's not me.
But I think that's gonna do it for us tonight.
I think we're all kind of tired tonight. So
yeah, today
we're all having a Wednesday.
Right.
I got hit in the back of the head with a pallet jack, the handle of a pallet jack, by my own retarded action, by the way.
Yeah, if you've ever seen a pallet jack, you'd realize how dumb that was.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. I deserve it. It's fine. Go ahead and ridicule me, so on and so forth. That's cool, fine, and dandy. But my head hurts.
Well, now you can go and you can rest up, and you can put a little ice on it, and maybe the tentacles can massage it a little bit. But before you do that, I want to know what you guys are up to this week. Any special things going on? with your channel. Start us off, Sheep.
Damn it, I got to think first. Let me see. Well, I'm definitely I'm gonna probably go to my last show, the show I had on Monday. The Chopping Block is the name of the show. It's a podcast where you take a block of your time to chop it up. It's a nice tagline that I like to go by. But it's a show that's every Monday and Friday, as it currently is, 7 p.m. Mountain Time, over on Twitch. So go ahead and follow me there. So I'll have a show coming up this Friday. We'll be talking about some stuff. There's actually a topic in the notes that we didn't cover, but that's only because when it comes to my level of passion for the topic, this show specifically would go on for like another hour and a half.
It would.
But
It's been going on for days here.
Pretty much. But like I got that going on. Also going to try to from my show on Monday, I'm going to try to cut out a clip from the Chris Rock and Will Smith situation, put that up, edit that, and put that up as a video. Other than that, I have as what dog owners like to call them, fur babies to look after, as along with Amarada. There's also some work to be done and some things to be lifted and other house stuff. I'm gonna be drawing in this in that same breath. Wait, what?
I said bar just a tote.
Yeah, bar just a tote. All of that. Like I got my hands full with a lot of stuff. But we'll reconvene. When we do, which should probably next week. Next week.
Nice. Amarada, what do you got going on?
Both mainly the same things that I usually have on my schedule. Friday and Sunday, or not Friday, Thursday and Sunday, I'll be doing Elden Ring on the Twitch channel.
Nice.
And then Friday and Saturday, I'll be doing 7 Days to Die, where people can come and try to kill me
and make her mad.
Make me mad.
Those are fun streams to watch. I will say, after I finish my stuff, I usually go and lurk for a bit because I love it. I love watching that game because I don't particularly want to play it, but I enjoy watching people get messed with in that, because I think that's a great idea that they implemented for that.
People definitely enjoy making me mad.
They abuse it.
Oh God, yes.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you guys for coming today. As you guys know, I also stream live on Twitch Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. We are playing. I think I'm going to be going back to Elden Ring this weekend. I really want to finish it. Someone elected that I play Bloodborne after this, so that'll be fun.
Oh, Bloodborne's great.
Yeah.
I love that game.
So I've only played like the first 4 or 5 hours of it. So I'm excited to do that. Friday, we got a show here back on this channel, The Midnight Oil, episode 3. We're going to be discussing the Northman trailer, and we're going to be discussing Maverick Top Gun 2 trailer.
Oh, nice.
Also keep an eye out. I'm going to be doing a episode by episode review of Moon Knight. I did watch it today, and as you can imagine, it just kind of
so it's like Loki aspect.
There were some good parts. I'm just disappointed with how the characters handled. That's all I'll say, because we could go on for 4 hours. But thank you guys for watching episode 2. We'll be back next week, 9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, with your 3 best friends here. But until then, take care of one another, love one another, give each other a nice hug, slap each other on the ass, whatever you got to do. But we'll see you guys next week. Thank you.
Good night.
Night, people.
Beep.